Sure, if you choose to eat meat, sure. In like an ethical manner, I don't disagree with that. If I stop buying beef at the grocery store, the companies are still going to be making beef for the. I'm going to be honest. I think you really need to stop comparing having the woman comparison. That was not a good one.
I'm an animal rights activist.
Okay.
I fight for animals. How do you
Yes.
feel about animals?
I love animals.
You love animals. Do you think that you can love animals while simultaneously paying for them to be exploited and killed?
No,
No. Are you vegan?
I am not vegan.
No. But then do you understand that? So veganism is to animals what feminism is to women. Do you think that I could say that I love women while not being a feminist?
I disagree with your logic.
Which logic do you disagree with?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree a little bit.
With what?
I think that certain types, I think that the mainstream ways that we treat animals for exploitation and like to make money and feed people is completely wrong. I don't agree with it. But I don't agree that like killing animals in general for food, if it's ethical,
Optional food.
if it's not optional.
Well, we can thrive on a plant-based diet.
Oh yes,
so
sure.
it is
If you
optional.
choose to eat meat, sure. In like an ethical manner, I don't disagree with that.
So would you say then exploiting and killing an animal for an optional product is right or is it wrong? According to your values.
I'm in the middle, but I will say my other point I disagree with you is that I don't think you can compare women to animals. I think that's
I didn't
wrong.
compare women to animals. I said veganism is to animals what feminism is to women. I compared one thing being animal rights movement and another being women's rights movement. I compared two movements. I didn't compare women to animals, and I can compare women to animals just like I can compare men to animals because we're all animals. Humans are animals at the end of the
To
day.
some extent.
Yeah, I don't mean it in a prerogative way because I don't think animals are inferior to humans also. I don't go by, if you tell somebody you're an animal, I don't think that means well or bad. It just means yes, you are because you're human. So,
To some extent, do you believe in like the food chain?
as in the description of how energy flows in an ecosystem, yes, I do believe in how energy flows in an ecosystem.
Okay.
What is the food chain supposed to do with that? Like, what does that have to do
Oh,
with
I was just wondering
rights?
because the people that believe in the food chain, right? It's like, oh, like, well, if humans are at the top of the food chain because we're smart enough to like make all this like industrial revolution, etc., all this stuff, and then like I don't know, what's the next down? Like, sure, cows. Let's be basic and
Yeah.
mainstream, right? And then you can say, I don't know, well, then cows eat grass, so then that ends that food chain. But like, there's other ones, right? Like the lions eat. The elks or whatever that eat the smaller animals,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, so the food chain is, as I said, just a measurement of how energy flows in
Of
an
course,
ecosystem.
yes.
It just shows that cows get a lot of energy from the grass, and then if we kill the cows, we get less energy than we would have gotten if we ate ourselves the products that the cow ate. Of course, we can't eat grass, but cows are are not just fed grass; they're also fed soy and corn, which are things we can definitely make products out of.
For sure.
So, but if I come back to you, because you acknowledge that you can be healthy on a plant-based diet, right?
Sure.
So, if you acknowledge that you can be healthy on a plant-based diet, do you think you can respect animals or respect their rights while not adopting a plant-based diet?
I think if you ethically source your meat, you can. Yeah.
What would an ethically sourced meat imply? Because it would still be killing an animal for a product you don't need.
Well, if I was being completely ethical, like, I mean, I think some people can function on a plant-based diet. I think others are more
Can you do
difficult
it?
based on their body. I have done it actually. Yes.
So you can, right?
I wasn't the most healthy, to be fair, but I did it.
Yeah.
For
I wasn't the
similar
most
reasons.
healthy when I consumed animal products. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
me consuming animal products made it unhealthy. It's just the
For
diet
sure.
that I had.
For sure, and it depends person to person.
Yeah, well, I'm a certified nutritionist. That doesn't really depend. It depends on whether you have certain conditions, and I have yet to see a condition that means you can't be on a plant-based diet. But let's imagine if that were the case, we'll deal with it when it comes. But
Right.
you don't have those issues, right? So you can adopt a plant-based diet. So I'll ask you again: do you think you, who can adopt a plant-based diet, are you acting fairly? Are you acting in compassion and fairness, in respecting their rights when you choose for an animal to be exploited and killed for you, even though you don't need to?
Find that a loaded question because I think in our current socio-economic political climate, it's very, very difficult to rationalize like obviously our individual decisions matter, but at the end of the day, like if I stop buying beef at the grocery store, they're still the companies are still going to be making beef for the
Up to
grocery
100 animals per year you could be saving by adopting a plant-based diet.
store by one person not eating meat.
Yeah.
And the
Not just meat, all animal products, because dairy products, eggs, all of them still exploit and kill animals.
yes, but one person stopping that isn't going to stop the corporations from stopping
Just like, let me put it this way: if all the rich people in the world have this, it's a hypothetical scenario that they have this contest where they kill 100 people per year.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to the population of the Earth, right? We're 8 billion people, so 100 people subtracting from 8 billion, it means nothing. There are 100 people born every second, probably. So killing 100 people might not mean anything, but it means everything if you're the one amongst the 100 people who's being killed. Just like that, it might not mean a lot to the 80 billion land animals and trillions of sea creatures that we kill worldwide per year. It may not make a dent in that number if you choose to adopt a plant-based diet, but it will make a giant difference to 100 animals.
Okay,
right?
I see.
So
I see your point.
That's the whole point about naming it animal rights and not, I don't know, an environmental thing or anything else, because it is about their rights. And when we talk about rights, we don't just make the individuals numbers and say, well, you see, a lot of individuals will still have their rights violated. Sure, but you're not participating in those other ones. So you yourself would actually live up to your values, where you say that you respect animals or that you love animals, but others still have work to do. They still have to work on themselves. So that's how I see it. And to this day, there still are people, by the way, who don't respect women's rights.
Oh, I know.
And it's insane to me. But I like how should I put this? That doesn't make me not want to respect women's rights, right?
Fair,
I still
fair.
am a person who wants to respect women's rights, regardless of what everybody else does. And I feel the same about animals. I'm a person who wants to respect their rights, regardless of what everybody else does.
Fair. Just to play devil's advocate, I must ask, what about, like, for example, a lion? Like, if a lion was really hungry, it probably would kill us. Like,
Yeah.
probably if you and a lion met and that lion was hungry, it might eat you.
100%, yeah. But a lion, so there's several things to be said. Number one, a lion does it out of necessity.
Right.
We don't do it out of necessity.
Right.
For us, it's optional.
Okay.
Number two, a lion doesn't know right from wrong. Lions also kill their babies. They commit infanticide. There's this thing that lions do is, in order to be top of their pride, they kill all the babies and all the males so that they can have sex with the females sooner. I would say that's insane if a human being did that to their group of friends.
So are we really, like, as close to animals? Like,
we are, but there's a big difference between us and animals, and that is that we are moral agents. But there's also a thing that not all humans are moral agents. There are human beings who are intellectually challenged, who are not moral agents. There are children who are not moral agents, and all of these individuals still deserve to have their rights respected. So it's not about, like Kant said, that moral agents need to be respected, but Kant was wrong. All sentient beings need to be respected, not just moral agents.
Do you think some of that's nurturing, though? Like, obviously, if you're born with an intellectual disability, it's one thing. But if you're, like, in our society, of course, there's lots of people, for example, who are nurtured into thinking women are lesser than men.
I believe there are a lot of people who are in the situation where they
have capacity technically, but it's not what they were taught.
Based on on as many people as I spoke to, most of the people are nurtured into the ideas that they have, their moral ideas, either from religion or from the household they grew up in. You're right. So a lot of people do say, I respect women, I respect animals, based on what they've been told to say. They don't really think about it. They don't really try to
question it.
Question the idea. They just go with what they're told.
Yeah.
But are you that person? Do you just go by what you're told?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
No.
So then when we come back to animal rights, because I want to bring it back to animal rights, do you feel like honestly, do you think you can be a fair, compassionate person to animals when you pay for some of them to be exploited and killed for you, even though you don't need to?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying. So from your perspective, like, if I went out and, like, I don't know, if I was living on an island and I went out, or screw the island, if I was living and went out and killed an animal by myself to eat it, like, do you watch the Alone show?
No.
When they're, oh my god, it's a great show. This is related to animals, I swear. So they send people out, and it's like a competition, like, who can, like, survive the longest on the island by themselves with, like, only 10 tools. And they literally have to, like, kill animals for survival, right? Yeah. So do you think that's moral?
Well, the sending of the humans to the island is immoral, of course, because you're predisposing them to their only possibility of being alive, killing an animal. However,
Well,
I'll tell
more
you this.
foraging, but yeah, you need a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like the people who crashed whose airplane crashed in the Andes and they had to eat some people.
Right.
I'm not gonna say, hey, what you're doing is immoral, because they did it out of survival.
Mm-hmm.
But however, if they afterwards go in their day-to-day life and say, I'm gonna start eating humans, that would be immoral.
Right.
So it's the same with animals. If you're in a situation where you need to kill an animal to survive, I'm not gonna judge you on that. I might do it myself. Although I personally think I would still value companionship more than the hunger, the lack of hunger.
Well,
but whatever, I don't know what I would be in that
yes,
situation.
you don't know until you... Same,
Exactly.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but in a day-to-day life, we're not in that situation, right?
No.
In a day-to-day life, we can make choices.
So if our society was like, okay, like we each like we weren't so like modern and capitalistic and like advanced and all. I say this in quotation marks because like,
yeah,
well, it's not great always. And we needed to kill animals, like for example, say like you were the butcher on the block and I was, I don't know, the harvester of the wheat, and we traded, but like we needed to do it out of necessity because we didn't have all this technology to make other food. Like, to you, that's moral.
Well, it would be justified. Let me put it this way, right?
Okay.
I wouldn't be sitting here telling people, hey, don't be healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would myself wouldn't participate in it. I don't know, but I wouldn't tell people, hey, don't be healthy, because at the end of the day, who's to say that my life is more valuable than their life?
Fair.
But I wouldn't judge anybody for thinking that their life is worth more than somebody else's life when it comes to survival, because maybe in that situation I would feel the same. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know until there.
Yeah, but not in the today life. That's my whole point. Not in the
So
day-to-day.
what's your like what you're advocating for? Like, what's your vision?
A vegan world.
Vegan world.
Yeah. So a world where animal rights are respected, where we don't exploit and oppress them.
We eat no animals.
No meat, no animal products, no us farming animals.
And it has to do with like animal rights, nothing to do with climate change.
Nothing to do with climate change. Coincidentally, it is better for the climate, but even if it were worse for the climate, I would still advocate for a vegan world.
Okay.
Because even if it were worse for the climate for women to have rights, I would still advocate for women to have rights.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
I keep bringing it. I'm not comparing women to animals. I'm comparing individuals who deserve rights. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I can't help but, critiquing a little bit because, well, you might be right on this, but like when you're saying that, it makes it seem like women and animals have very similar unequal rights. So.
I'm sorry. I wish I could say men, but the reality is men rarely have had their rights taken away, sadly, right?
Maybe if you're a black man, but
maybe if you're a black man, right? So I sometimes also say that it depends on the case. I feel like when it comes to women's rights, it's one of those things that we've come to a place where very few people disagree. Although nowadays openly disagree at least on the idea. Today it's insane. I don't know what the hell is wrong with people, but there's most of the people today agree on the fact that women deserve rights, and the reason why I keep bringing it up as an example is because it's something we both agree on. It's something that some individuals deserve rights, right? Sure. So it's our common understanding. We both agree on this.
Yeah. So you want a fully vegan world, and who am I to question that? But I will ask is a lot of the vegan foods that are coming out, especially in the last couple of years, have a lot of preservatives in them, or additives and things that maybe aren't so healthy for you, especially if you need more natural.
Like plant-based meat, you mean?
Yeah, for example, if we're trying to create a meat-like product, tofu is one thing; it's a completely separate thing. I'm not gonna there's tofu,
lentils, seitan. Yeah, lentils.
I'm not gonna lump that in together.
Yeah.
But I just wonder what your take on that is, because
there's plant-based meats that are healthy.
Is it technically healthier if it has more additives?
Depends on what you're comparing it with, right? Okay. Because if you're comparing it to poultry, there's a study showing that over 300 grams of poultry per week increased the chances of colorectal cancer. So gastrointestinal cancer, sorry, not colorectal.
Right, and red meat's linked to heart attacks.
And red meat is linked to heart attack, one because it's high in cholesterol, but it's linked to also colon cancer. I believe that the way our colon is built, it doesn't really like animal products or meat. It's usually that's why fiber is very healthy for us.
Maybe we're not as primitive.
But this is my opinion, by the way, right? I can believe that you can be theoretically healthy while eating some animal products. But I still wouldn't endorse that because it would still mean violating animal rights.
Which you believe in.
But as for the additives and stuff, some do, some don't.
Right.
There's plenty of products that don't have additives. Even if they do have additives, as a certified nutritionist, I can tell you if you eat once or twice a week, it's not going to matter, make a difference. If you're going to be eating it every day for every meal, sure, then you need to look about it. But if you're going to be having once or twice a week, like a plant-based meat or something, it's not going to mean anything to your health. Like I would say, salt is a bigger issue than the additives themselves.
If you eat too much of it, you need some, right?
Yeah, but women usually have a lower blood pressure, and salt does help them in general. So.
Well, I wanted to also ask you, like, what about women who like have low iron, for example, because of menstruation? Like, they need sometimes like red meat or like turkey, for example, is higher in iron, right? It's very helpful. And like, obviously, you can take supplements. It doesn't always like absorb the same.
Yeah.
Like.
So I'll tell you this. So there's heme iron that is found in animal products. The problem with heme iron is that if you eat too much of it, your body will try absorbing all of it because it doesn't have a limit.
Okay.
Heme iron is what our body transforms iron into, and it's what animals' body transforms iron into. So when you get an animal product, you eat what their body transformed into heme iron as your body would. So if you eat too much of it, you increase your chances of inflammation in the body. So it's not good to have heme iron specifically.
Or not too much of it.
Not too much of it, yeah. But the easiest way is if you eat iron, iron-rich foods like kale, for example.
Yeah,
spinach is also a good one. But spinach a lot of the times has oxalates, which they bind to heavier metals. So that's why I tell people kale is the better way to
do it. Good, yeah, for sure.
Kale, and if you eat it alongside some vitamin C-rich foods, absorption is very similar to heme iron. So you're not going to have any issues if you do that. And if there's somebody who has an anemia, I tell them, like a women especially, during your period, please also supplement just to be sure.
Yeah.
But only during your period. Otherwise, put in your smoothie some kale and some vitamin C, like, I don't know, lemon over it or something, and you'll be fine.
Okay, fair. I have one more question for you. Not poking holes in your, like, what you believe in at all.
You can try. I don't have a problem.
Yes, sure. I wonder, in like our a lot of plant-based foods are more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So people who can't afford them, what do those people do?
Well, we actually have studies that it's cheaper to be on a plant-based diet. We have, I think I have 3 studies on me. Well, not on me, but like I saved.
Okay.
That's because a lot of the times we think plant-based diet means eating a lot of plant-based meats or plant-based cheeses. And if you're going to eat a lot of those, in most areas in the world, you're going to be paying more. Not here in the Netherlands. Here in the Netherlands, specifically, even these are cheaper than their animal counterparts.
Really, even like the healthier versions without the additives.
Plant-based steak, the one from Planted, which is not a cheap one, it's like €4.50. It's cheaper than a regular steak. Yeah.
Interesting. And what is it made of?
It's made of soy, if I'm not mistaken. Soy, and then some beetroot juice and some stuff to make it look like.
Does it taste like steak?
I've only had steak once in my life when I was very young, and I never found it pretty. I just like, to me, steak just tastes like eating metal because it's heavy in iron. But so it never tasted that specifically nice. But does it? It tastes. It's a little bit salty. It's a little bit. I believe it tastes like a steak. I don't know. It's okay. It's at least the taste is close enough to me that I would not kill an animal for the difference, for the taste difference.
What about and like, obviously you have to balance your like plant-based intake, right? You can't only eat soy. Eating too much soy, especially with the farming these days, is a lot of it has a lot of, I don't know, GMO and stuff in it, which isn't great for your hormones.
No, GMO so there's no issues with GMO so.
Oh, maybe not in the Netherlands. That's an American problem.
Nowhere. So GMO is actually healthier and safer than non-GMO foods. I know it's a common misconception because it's genetically modified, and we have this this condition to believe that something that's genetically modified because it's artificial is somehow worse for us. But that's either chemophobia or an appeal to nature, which isn't good. Because in reality, genetically modified foods go through rigorous testing, whereas when 2 farmers they start splicing up food, that doesn't go through testing. You don't know if when you're eating what is it? There's a combination between a pear and an apple. I forgot what the name of it. But if you don't know when you're eating that you don't all of a sudden get a little bit of arsenic, because apples do have arsenic in their seeds. So nobody has tested those yet. If you were to genetically modify it, you would have extensive testing before it reaches the market.
Interesting.
So that's about GMOs. And about soy eating, we have studies showing that soy doesn't actually affect free-flowing testosterone or estrogen in the body. So there was one particular case in this world that happened where somebody had an issue with their testosterone or estrogen levels, and that was because they were drinking 4 liters of soy milk every day for, like, I don't know, a couple of years. So Yeah, don't do that.
Well,
Don't only drink soy or eat soy.
yeah, okay.
But if you're going to have a moderate diet, even if a lot of the products have soy, if you're going to have vegetables alongside, right? Because you do need to have green vegetables, you do need to have orange vegetables and red, like the typical healthy diet, then you're going to be fine and not going to have any issues.
Interesting. All right.
Okay. So how many more animals should be exploited for you from now on?
Should be exploited? None should be exploited.
Yeah. Do you acknowledge that would mean you going vegan?
Honestly, no. Because I'm not the corporations that make the decisions.
But you are the one who's giving money to those corporations to exploit animals.
If I'm buying products, sure.
If you're buying animal products,
I'm supporting them to an extent. But honestly, I would say we need like a mass revolution to actually make a change.
But how would that make a difference in your particular perspective? Let's say there is a mass revolution, you'd still be in the same scenario where you would have to buy plant-based products. So why not start right now and no longer support the exploitation of animals?
I honestly just don't think it makes enough of a difference.
You don't think 100 animals per year makes enough of a difference?
I know your previous comparison, but like, not really.
Not really. What if you were in their shoes?
Yeah, maybe I'd think different.
You'd think differently?
Maybe.
But
also, if I'm getting my animal products from, I don't know, the farm. If I go to the farm and like have an egg, is that more ethical?
No.
You don't think so?
No, it's the same.
Really?
It's still exploitation. If I go to a place where they exploit women and have my way with a woman there at the place instead of the woman coming to me, or the product that they exploit the woman for come to me, is it not the same? It's still the individual still feels the exploitation, still has the exploitation being done onto them for the product. Whether you go to it directly or it's coming through several intermediaries, it doesn't really matter, unless you really care about the 10% environmental 10% carbon footprint that the transport has. But I would say you going there and getting it still transport. So
I'm gonna be honest. I think you really need to stop comparing having the woman comparison. That was not a good one.
Well, it is, because it's the only individuals who you respect. For some reason, you don't respect animals. So why is it that you don't respect animals? Let me ask you this. What's the morally significant difference between a human being and an animal that justifies the difference in treatment? Because I would assume that if I were sitting here telling you that humans or animals are if women are exploited specifically for something that you're buying, and you can choose something else which does not exploit women, would you choose something else?
Well, technically, women are being exploited for fast fashion. There's all kinds of different
things. And if you had a different solution, would you choose something else?
I try my best, but I don't have enough money to...
If it were within your budget, within your capabilities...
Sure, I would try something else.
So you would try something else. So it's clear that when it comes to animals, you don't want to give them the same moral consideration. So what is the morally significant difference between a human being and an animal that justifies the difference in view?
Well, maybe I see a difference between humans and animals.
And what is that difference? I would say when it comes to exploiting and killing somebody, I think you would have to have a better justification other than maybe I see a difference and you can't even name it. Because otherwise, that's how we ended up with women being oppressed, with black people being oppressed. We ended up in this situation where we couldn't justify the difference to justify the oppression.
Black people are human beings. Animals aren't humans.
But we're all animals. It doesn't matter. You're just picking the category of humans because you were told, like every other person on this planet we were just discussing was told, that you have to respect humans. You were told you have to respect humans. You never questioned why you have to respect humans, and you just stopped at that category. If I tell you, should we respect all primates? Should we respect all mammals?
So how did you get... Okay, so growing up, you said you had steak when you were young. Yeah. What changed your mind? Like, what made you adopt this view?
Well, seeing what dairy cows go through, the forceful insemination, the fact that they take away their babies from them, the fact that they kill the babies if they're male, the fact that they repeatedly impregnate the cows up until the time when they can no longer impregnate them, and then they kill them. I would say that's sexual exploitation, and exploitation is, to me, a pretty no-no regardless if they're human or not.
Okay.
That's just the type of person I am. I wouldn't want to support that, knowing especially that I have so many alternatives.
Yes, fair. And the thing is I agree with you with all the types of mainstream, like when they're treating them that way, I agree.
That's prevalent. I come from Romania. I've seen it in my grandmother's backyard who only had a cow. Mm-hmm. It happens in the smallest of farms to the largest of farms. And we actually have a study being done in Germany on 3,600 dairy farms. And the animal welfare index between large farms and small farms is identical. It's nearly identical. So if you think a
What does
cow
that,
has
sorry, what does that measure?
an animal welfare index, it's an index that measures how happy an animal is, essentially. So if you think an animal is happier on a large farm, they're not. They're just as sad on a small farm.
How do we measure that though? Like
You can
based
look
on
it up
what?
if you want. It's the study is pretty readily available. It's called what is it? If you search animal welfare index dairy farms Germany, because it was done in Germany, you'll find the study and you can look it up and they explain.
All right.
Okay. So
All right.
what's the difference between a human and an animal that justifies the difference in treatment?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
And then don't you think you should grant them consideration, moral consideration, and not exploit and kill them?
I will continue to think about it. Yes.
You can, okay, let me just give
I
you this
got it.
because I can't force you into anything. Can you please watch the minion if you scan this QR code that appears there? I'll just give you the card.
Sure. Sure.
And until you watch it, can you adopt a plant-based diet until you watch the minion?
I will think about it. Yes.
No, just until you watch it. Come on, it's not that big of a deal. Well, you can watch it tonight and just have 1 or 2 meals that are plant-based. It won't be that bad.
I do it all the time.
Okay, sure. Have a good one.